Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and as with every league this week, this is from Patreon subscriber Claire, and this is also in support of Tulare Community College's annual fundraiser for Trans Lifeline, which is live now today. Today is the first day you can donate and be part of that, be eligible for the sweet donation prizes. By the time you're watching this, I will have already made my donations. Check out the video description for the links to what should be now the live fundraiser where you can get involved directly. And that moves us on to today's deck. This is a deck I've been excited about if you've been paying attention all week. I played against this on Monday and I said, wow, I'm going to play that this week. And then I thought I was playing against it on Tuesday and I was like, yeah, I'm going to play that this week. And here it is Wednesday and I'm playing this week. Aluren is one of the first competitive decks I really put together for Old Extended. The first deck I ever put together was George W. Bosh, the deck that won Pro Tour New Orleans. Those of you who know the Bosh lore know why my name is BoshNRoll now. It's after George W. Bosh, the deck from all those years ago. Aluren was like the second, maybe third deck that I acquired cards for specifically to build a competitive deck. It also happens to be from Tempest, my favorite set. 2 GG enchantment. Any player may cast creatures with mana value 3 or less without paying their mana cost and as though they had flash. That is a crazy block of text. Naturally, nobody is ramping this out and then casting 3 Grizzly Bears and passing the turn. That's not what we're doing with Aluren. Never in history. Usually, Aluren is a deck completely unto itself that uses Cavern Harpy to go off with drawing your deck and draining your opponent for infinite life. This build is much more elegant because there's room for other stuff too. There's also Show and Tell and Atraxa and Omniscience in this deck. And if you squint, Omniscience and Aluren, Corporate wants you to tell the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture. For the purposes of comboing off with Acererak the Archlich, I'm going to be really careful about adding the extra syllable. I've been calling this guy Acererak for years, and my Patreon Discord was pretty aggro at me about mispronouncing it for an entire video a while back. Acererak the Archlich happens to cost 3, which means it works with Aluren. Happens to be a spell, which means it works with Omniscience. When Acererak enters, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, which is one of the dungeons you can enter when you venture into the dungeon, return this to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. And then there's some flavor text about attacking that is not going to come up at all. What we're doing with this guy is it calls out Tomb of Annihilation specifically. That's the thing that Acererak, the card, is designed to enter. Like, you've completed this dungeon and then you get a 3 mana 5/5 that does some powerful stuff. But we're ignoring that completely. If you never complete the Tomb of Annihilation and instead go into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage or the Lost Mine of Phandelver, you can complete these dungeons infinitely because Acererak's condition to stay in play will never be met. And Lost Mine of Phandelver happens to have a room that reads, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. That's the win con. That room also has, or that dungeon also has a room that says draw a card at the end, which is not optional. Though I wonder if you can stack Acererak's triggers. It's been a long time since I played Acererak as a win condition in Aluren because it's so tedious to click through on MTGO. But yeah, okay, thinking about the rules a little bit. I was about to say your opponent has to have less life than you have cards in your deck or else you deck yourself. But I don't think that's even true. Because Acererak's venture into the dungeon and bounce this trigger would cause you to move into the Temple of Dumathoin. Dumathoin, he's nuts. And then the Temple's room will trigger, telling you to draw a card. And then in response to that, you could go back through the dungeon. So I don't think this matters at all, actually, if you know the rules. Sorry for working through that live. I probably should have known that before I was reading it. But yeah, this is infinite life drain, as long as you can cast Acererak as many times as you want, which both Aluren and Omniscience allow you to do. As I alluded to a moment ago, this is extremely tedious on Magic Online because you have to click to cast Acererak. It enters the battlefield. You pass priority on its trigger. Its trigger lets you go into this room. This room triggers. You pass priority on that trigger, and then this effect happens, and you have to scry 1. And then you do that again and move into one of these other rooms, and then you do that again to lose 1 life. It was somewhere between 5 and 7 clicks per room of the dungeon. And you have to go completely through the dungeon enough to make your opponent lose 20 life if your opponent makes you play it out. IRL, you can just declare, drain you for infinite, and it's fine. But if opponents want to be salty, they can be. And that's a risk you take when you sign up for a deck like this. Never mad at an opponent who makes me click it out. But that's how this works on both Magic Online and IRL. But the deck also contains just Atraxa Grand Unifier and Omniscience. You can ram Atraxa into play and just do Atraxa stuff. Formidable Speaker, very cool bridge card here. This Speaker is a 3-drop for Aluren that tutors Acererak, and then you go off. Or you can cast Formidable Speaker off your Ancient Tomb mana on turn 1 or 2 with Lotus Petal or Ancient Tomb. Discard any card you want, and then get Atraxa and set up Show and Tell Atraxa. You have that line to that combo. You can cast Show and Tell with Aluren in your hand, and if they counter Show and Tell, you just cast Aluren the next turn, and if they don't, you put Aluren in off the Show and Tell and you win. This is super elegant for what it's doing, and I normally hate Show and Tell decks, and especially Omni Show, because one of the weaknesses of Omni Show is that it really only does one thing. If Show and Tell doesn't resolve, Omni Show rarely functions, where at least Sneak and Show has Sneak Attack as a secondary thing it can do. Aluren is the Sneak Attack in this build. I've always liked the green Veil of Summer support shell of Omni Show more than I like Sneak and Show's stuff, but I've liked Sneak and Show's ability to win the game more than Omni Show's, and this one kind of bridges the gap very beautifully. I've been talking for a long time about this deck. I'm excited to play it. Let's do it. This is Omni-Aluren from Claire. Go check out the Tolarian Community College Drive. I'm on the draw in round 1. We're off to a good start. Perfect Show and Tell hand of 3 monsters, no way to do anything. I will be mulliganing. Okay, here we go. This hand has Atraxa and Aluren. I'm probably going to bottom Atraxa here and try to make something happen with Aluren. Does that make sense? If I draw Show and Tell, I'd rather have Atraxa. If I draw Formidable Speaker, I'd rather have Aluren. Alright. Atraxa to the bottom. Opponent also took a mulligan. I appreciate that. BoSeiju. I don't really want to play out this Lotus Petal where my opponent could do something like Prismatic End it, or I don't want to tip them off that I'm a combo deck if they're going to do some pondering or brainstorming and try to figure out like what cards they need to keep. But having Lotus Petal in play would be advantageous for something like Brainstorm. Like I could Brainstorm into Veil of Summer and then game on. Okay, here I do want to just Brainstorm. Okay, so now I have the whole combo lined up if I can get to 4 mana, which I can do next turn, which means Atraxa and I think BoSeiju. What if my opponent is also Show and Tell? I have to think about that. What deck has 2 islands in it? Or if they Show and Tell, I put in Aluren and they just die. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be BoSeiju and Atraxa back. And then I'm just going to pass the turn. Flood Pit's Drowner. All right, Dr. Owner. We're playing against some sort of blue tempo deck. I've seen like mono blue Delver decks that play this guy. Oh, baby. That's hot as hell. Interesting. Yeah, whatever. Let's game. Okay, mono blue Standstill. Big fan of what my opponent's cooking over there. Fetch. Hedge Maze. Ponder. I'm not in the market for Ponder. I think what I want to do here is just cast Stock Up into the Standstill. Joke's on me for shuffling away that BoSeiju. Alright, Stock Up. And you get 3 cards. I get a bunch of cards of value. Here we go. Veil of Summer. And so if I take Veil, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana next turn. That's not enough. If I take Ancient Tomb Veil. Okay. Ancient Tomb Veil gets me where I want to go. And I'm just going to pass the turn. I can go off next turn. Cavern of Souls. Are we Merfolken? Hell yeah, we are. Tide Shaper. It didn't kick it. Emperor Mihal II. It's been a minute since I've seen this guy. Look at the top card of your library anytime. You can cast Merfolk spells from the top of your library. And when you cast a Merfolk, you can make a 1/1. Okay, deal. Okay, I feel some moderate confidence about the situation here. I'm going to lead on Veil of Summer and see if they fight over that. And if they do, I'm still going to send it on Aluren. Force pitching Lord of Atlantis. Aluren. Okay, we're in there. I could start with Brainstorm if they respond with Hull Breacher, because my opponent is a deck that's going to have 3-drop creatures in it. True Name Nemesis in response, don't care. I did just open myself up to Daze. Right, Formidable Speaker. I'll put back Atraxa and City of Traders. That didn't make any sense. All right. I'll just go for it. If I get Dazed here, I deserve to lose. Okay, here we go. Trigger. I want the Lost Mine of Phandelver. All right, you want to see some clicking, opponent, or are we good? Thank you, opponent. I appreciate you. Okay, cool. We got some Standstill Merfolk in the chat. That's cool as hell. Veil of Summer, Defense Grid, Carpet of Flowers all look good here. Do I want Force of Will at all? In Veil of Summer and Defense Grid are doing the job of Force of Will, but doing it kind of better. And against the Cavern of Souls deck, I like boarding out Force of Will anyway. And Carpet of Flowers is kind of like Lotus Petal. Yeah, I think these are the adjustments I want to make. Let's do it. I will keep. I've got some acceleration, some selection, and some protection. I could also just cast Aluren on turn 3 and turn 4. Aether Vial, love it. Sometimes Merfolk has Wasteland, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just going to hope they don't. I actually like Boseiju, even though it doesn't help me move my game plan forward, but it does blow up Aether Vial or Standstill. Either one of which could be useful to me. Okay, well, I'm less likely to blow up an Aether Vial now. Passing the turn. Got a 1-drop. Tide Shaper, 2/2. I provided the island on the house. This might be a spot where no, they missed a land drop. The Vial is worth mana, but also Besiegeing them's worth mana. It's a little bit of a shell game here. I think I'll save Boseiju for a Standstill. A Vial, Master of the Pearl Trident. Yeah, I don't think this is a deck where I have to respond to Vial with fetch lands. White Vial decks, you kind of have to do that. Get my other Surveil land. Show and Tell, what's up? Yeah, I'll take that card. And how do we feel about Atraxa today? Right, putting in Atraxa. Put in Hull Breacher, sure. I've got Formidable Speaker, Veil of Summer, Snow-Covered Island, Show and Tell. Done. And I think I want to blow up this. All right, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I blow up the Vial, they can't Vial on 3, but I also can't Veil, which could protect Atraxa from being bounced. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. To discard 2 cards, it's going to be Polluted, or nope. Yeah, Polluted Delta is fine, because I have Boseiju as a land if I need it. And then, I guess one of the Alurens. Okay, pass. As long as my opponent can't kill me this turn with some insane Merfolk Blitz, I think we're good. Cavern on Merfolk. This is 7 damage I can't block. The Master doesn't give itself. Walk. 2 cards left in hand. They'd have to be pretty serious. Boseiju could also clear a Dress Down, which is a card they could have that blows out my combo. A Vial for 3. Puts in Harbinger of the Seas. Okay. Now Counterspell matters a little bit, unless I draw a basic. I did not draw a basic Forest. All right, I'm going to Show and Tell, and hope they don't have a Counterspell. Put in Aluren. Cast Formidable Speaker without paying its mana cost. I'd like to discard. All right, right now is the chance for them to respond with anything. Discard, I guess, Veil of Summer. Search my deck for Acererak. Cast without paying its mana cost. Did we do it? Or do you have the Dress Down? That was squeaky clean. I like that. I like my opponent's deck too. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round 2 against Easy Money Marksman, who is a known grinder, probably just playing some top-tier deck. I like my hand quite a bit. I'm going to keep it. I have access to a bunch of basic lands. My opponent's on Wasteland stuff. I've got Stock Up to Load Up, plus the whole combo in Aluren plus Speaker, if we can wiggle that in. Bloodstained Mire. Well, that's a combo deck. Misty Rainforest, pass. I guess Bloodstained Mire could just be your off-color fetch land in Dimir Tempo. They usually do have one mono-black fetch land or two. End-Step Brainstorm. Oh, End-Step Brainstorm is a play that decks make when they are... Usually combo decks make when they're 1 point of something away from winning. Oh, or we're just setting up Reanimator. Yeah, okay, we're playing as Reanimator. Okay, and this game just got hard. Island, I'm going to Brainstorm here. None of that helps. Okay, I'm going to put back Seiju, and it's probably the secondary Aluren. I can beat an Atraxa. This is definitely going to be a Thoughtseize deck. All right, I'll put back my Atraxa, Seiju plus Atraxa. Okay, the opponent got the Reanimator goods going. 2 Thoughtseizes revealed. You can only take 1, but I expect to have to get through one of them here. Wasteland also revealed. Okay, Wasteland, Thoughtseize, Orcish Bowmaster. Pretty weak spread of card types to take, but every one of those cards is good. I can't really fetch Hedge Maze here, which is what I want to do. I'll get Island. Opponent has to clean up. Is there a second monster to dump for free? Yeah, there is. Discarded Atraxa. Good stuff. I think Stock Up is a better way to spend my money than Ponder. And if Ponder found Veil of Summer, it would be better. Okay, Ancient Tomb is here. 3rd Aluren. I'm not going to need that. If my opponent has Force of Will, what's my line? My line is Ponder and Jam Aluren, which I can't do even with Ancient Tomb. I could take an Atraxa. I think I want Ponder and Atraxa. And that is because Show and Tell off the top, meeting their Atraxa in combat with my Atraxa, is a way I can stabilize if they use Thoughtseize to take Formidable Speaker, which I think is the most important card in my hand right now. Unless they have Force of Will, because then they could take one of the Alurens, force the other, and then Speaker doesn't do anything. My thoughts. It's exciting to see my opponent's deck out in the wild. I worked really hard on this deck before Eternal Weekend at the end of last year, and thought it was really solid, and then that didn't really materialize in the metagame when things shook out post-ban. And here we are 2 months later. Someone's still holding the torch. Yeah, took Speaker. Played out Wasteland, representing Bowmaster into this double Ponder situation. Ugh. All right, well, at least I can Ponder, and if they Bowmaster in response, I can rip off the Brainstorm. Wiggle this in without maximum punish, just medium punish. Oh, spent Force of Will on that. So I am now dead on board, and I'm tapped out of blue, and I don't have Show and Tell. I don't think there's any sequence that can get me out of this. And it's certainly not those cards. A Shuffle. Ah, there he is. All right, yeah, 1 turn too late. Okay, GG. Yeah, turn 2 Atraxa on the play is pretty good. I'm willing to co-sign that. A Veil of Summer, go up to the full boat of those. We've got Fairy Macabre and Grafdigger's Cage. Carpet of Flowers is good against the Dimir Tempo half of the deck. Show and Tell's a little risky knowing that they have their own Atraxas, but I also don't think I want to cut it, which creates the question of what am I going to cut then if I am trying to bring in 7 cards? I could go 0 Force of Will, which may seem crazy because I am both a combo deck that's trying to resolve a combo and I'm playing against a combo deck. But I have these other 3 cards now that are better against the combo side of their deck than Force of Will is. Also, if they just do a big shave of the combo and become Dimir tempo with a bunch of interaction, then Force of Will's kind of stinky. Yeah, if I'm like side grading Lotus Petals into Carpet of Flowers, that makes sense in my brain. And then what's the last thing to cut? Could shave a Ponder to make myself less weak to Bowmaster while maintaining critical mass of bangers. Or I could shave a Show and Tell because they might have their own Atraxas, but I have Omniscience and Aluren I'm putting in. Like, my Show and Tell might actually win the game on the spot. Yeah, I think it's actually a Ponder. All right, game on. I could see Defense Grid as an argument, but I have 4 Veils in my deck now, and I know they're playing a bunch of Thoughtseizes. I will keep this hand. Having the Acererak in my hand stinks really hard, though, because if they Thoughtseize it, it's just gone. And I have to win with Atraxa. Like, my Aluren lines are just broken. I hope my opponent doesn't recognize that and takes, like, the stock up instead. Yeah, they did take stock up, which also just makes sense from a fundamental Magic perspective without knowing the list. But I'm not going to play around Days because I don't want to. All right, I'm going to put back Acererak and the backup cage, I guess. And I'm going to try to get this Carpet of Flowers in the mix. Nothing to do with the mana, unfortunately. But next turn, stock up pretty good. Okay, so their combo's offline, and the mana denial part of their deck's not very good. Now I have to actually do something. Acererak safely shuffled into my deck. Little Tamiyo action. Got the Brainstorm too. Oh yeah, now we're comboing. That represents Thoughtseize next turn or Death 4 turns from now, depending on how they want to play this. Ancient Tomb. Yes, make blue. Ancient Tomb. Stock up with a blue still floating. Force of Will. Tough. All right, you got me. I don't think I want to play a cheeky empty Show and Tell. Like, you can play Show and Tell into open mana and a handful of cards and make them figure it out. Like, they could just force it when you're about to put an Ancient Tomb. But the Show and Tell is high value. Oh, didn't need to bot minus Tamiyo because I just had a second Thoughtseize. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, now Tamiyo's a huge ass problem. By the way, I did select the Dimir Reanimator deck for Eternal Weekend because of how good it was against other combo decks. Like, this is not a surprise that I'm getting picked apart here. Thoughtseize, Force of Will, hell of a setup. Ooh. All right. Well, yes. Make green. I'll cast Aluren. They might, like, cheese out a Barrogoyf or something and hit me really hard, but this gives me the ability to top deck and win the game. I'm not playing out the Ancient Tomb because I need a card in my hand if I draw Formidable Speaker. Tamiyo to 8. All right, deck. Right now, Formidable Speaker off the tippity top. Big rips. Oh my god. Yes, make green mana. And do I want to go off in response or do I want to try to go now? Yeah, I'll just go now. Okay, we're here. I did it. Was it enough? Grab Acererak. Infinite Life Drain? Question mark? And even Fatal Push does it here because they could get Revolt by wasting me. Okay, sick. Wow! Combo v combo slugfest. That was nice. We both got a turn cheesing each other's faces off. I don't really have any answers to Tamiyo except win over it, which is fine. And 4 Veils just feels so dirty. 4 Veil, 2 Carpet. Hook that to my veins. Can I find room for any of these Force of Wills back? I didn't really see enough of that game to know if they still have reanimate stuff going on in the deck. Like, I would love to cut the Cages and the Fairy Macabre and bring 3 Force of Wills back in, or 2 Forces and a Ponder. But I'd have to be highly confident that they've juked entirely off reanimate to make that a thing. And I personally would not juke off reanimate if I know my opponent's trying to cast Show and Tell. I'd want some monsters in the deck. Okay. Same thing, just had to talk it out. Oh, this hand is so close. And Wasteland is such a good card. There's 20 lands in my deck. Or is this the 19 land version? This is the 19. Some builds I saw had 19, some had 20. So there's 19 lands in my deck. I'm going to mulligan. All right. I'll keep this one and put an Ancient Tomb on the bottom. Basic Island, Tameo. Here comes that shit. Hedge Maze. Polluted Delta. I don't want more mana. If they wasteland me, I might wish I had that green source, but if they wasteland me, they're not cracking a clue this turn, so I'll take the trade-off. Tameo, attack, brainstorm, just doing it all. Do you have the Thoughtseize as well? Plus Tameo. Okay, no Thoughtseize. All right, I'm going to rip off a stock up here. It'll either flush out a counter or reload my hand. Either way, it's worth action to me. Or some negation pitching Brazen B. Okay. If I draw something worth putting in, I have a protected show until next turn. Yeah, unfortunately with Tameo going, I just didn't have time. If Tameo wasn't in play, I would have taken my time, just passed with Veil of Summer up, set up a Veil protecting my stock up the turn after, but Tameo just condenses the game so quickly that that's not a choice I get to make here. Tameo's at 6. I get 2 more draws this game. Well. This is exactly what I signed up for. Show and tell. My opponent might also have an Atraxa in their hand, though. Yeah, I'm putting in Atraxa. You have Archon. All right, well, I'm going to Veil of Summer so I don't have to sack my okay, now Veil is a cantrip. It wasn't a second ago, but if they find Daze or Force here, I'm completely cooked. I'm probably cooked anyway. God dang it. All right, well, that's why Show and Tell is not very good into Reanimator. On to the next round. That was a good match considering it was a combo speed fest. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw in round 3 with a hand that is almost there. Show and Tell sends me to the moon. Otherwise, I hope to come up with some green mana before I'm dead. Opponent has a swamp, and I have an island. Magic as Garfield intended. Okay, they did not play a second card. Okay, now I have access to green, which is great for both getting a Lorwyn online and Veil of Summering, whatever the hell this mono black deck that didn't do anything is. I suspect they're trying to go to discard and put a reanimate target in the graveyard. I'm going to Hedge Maze here. Drop. I will take that. Drop's great. Oh, discarded Kolaghan's Command? What is this hand? Why did you keep this? All right, I gave them credit for a minute of being Reanimator with kind of a weird backdoor plan, but now I don't know what the hell's going on. Cling to Dust my land to draw a card. Yeah, go nuts. Okay. Are we even playing the game? What's going on? I discarded Ponder. All right, I was just going to say, I kind of want to wait for another green source now. And I got it. So next turn, I can go Aluren, deterministic win line with Veil and Force to protect it. If my opponent is just going to discard as a Grixis control deck, then I am not going to get antsy here. Another Aluren. Okay. I'm going to lead on the Veil because I don't want to lose a counter war if it turns out their hand is 3 Force of Wills. All right, uncounterable Aluren. And then Acererak the Arclich with Force still backing up. Okay, I wonder if that was a misclick. I can't imagine a reason to keep that hand as that archetype. Okay, we are against Grixis Control, who is a Force of Will Thoughtseize deck. Veil of Summer, what's up? They're also usually an island deck unless they keep basic Swamp and then die without doing anything. Yeah, I think I'm just going to side grade my interaction again. Petals for Carpets, Forces for Veils. This seems like a lane I'm very comfortable in, given that we've played 3 rounds and I've done it every round. I'm going to keep this double Veil hand and hope I get at least 1 turn before I start getting Thoughtseized. Okay, good news. I'm going to chill on this Misty Rainforest for a moment. Hymn to Tarak is a card that has rejoined the Legacy format in recent months. Veiling a Hymn is like, I don't know, I was trying to think of something veiling at him is like, but I could only think of gross things. And I try to keep this channel mostly family friendly. They're probably not a wasteland deck. Okay, I don't want another Aluren. And I don't think they're going to have surgical extraction in against me. I would actually like to ponder because I really want to hit this next land drop. And we did it with a show and tell underneath. That gives me a protected win next turn if I don't have to veil now. Like if they thought seize me, I'll just veil and then we move on. But if they don't, next turn I can do it all. Lockmare, by the way, cool card. I saw James Casau, who is the main iterator of this deck, of the Grixis control deck, talking about how Tamiyo is better on turn 1 or 2, but then Lockmare is better on every other turn for what this deck's trying to do. It's the Mythic Rare from Lorwyn Eclipsed. This one, it enters with 3 counters on it, 3/-1 counters, and you can remove a counter to draw a card for 2 mana, or remove 2 counters to tap and stun a creature. Okay. I'm going to Veil of Summer first. If they force this Veil, I think I'll just pass the turn and try again next turn. And if they don't, I'll just jam. Okay, show and tell. Put in Aluren. I have 2 speakers, so I can go off in response if they like try to bounce or kill Aluren here, if that's their counterplay. Because Aluren does not have Veil protection because it came into play after the Veil resolved. Brainstorm. All right, I don't care about that. And if they dress down in response to the speaker, I can speaker in response. All right, speaker's in. I hope I don't need Brainstorm anymore this game. I'll take Acererak the Arclich. Cast it without paying its mana cost. And they're dead. Well, one complete non-game, but one actual game where my opponent had a bunch of stuff to do and a bunch of options and still just could not get through this. And as a person who gravitates towards sturdily controlled decks in Legacy, I hate decks like this. There's combo decks that get to main deck Veil of Summer. Yikes. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Receivables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/thereceivables. I am on the draw in round 4 versus Bacon Lettuce Tomato, who I generally recognize as a control player. At least my history playing against this player has been, Beanstalk decks and stuff. And my hand is pretty good against that. I don't want another Atraxa. Unfortunately, binning this tells the whole story that I am a combo deck of some variety, and they're going to start sculpting immediately as a response to that. But the good news is I have a protected Omniscient Send. Ooh, Ethereal Forager, that's fun. That's a Beanstalk card. The bad news for my show and tell deck here is that, yeah, there's the bean, is that show and tell where they put in Leyline Binding, Aluren can beat that, but Omniscience doesn't. Oh my god, the double bean. They're by bean in it. Okay, lucky for me. Well, I just drew another way to send, but all right, show and tell. I was about to say that I have a second show and tell. All right, I'm going to Veil in response to the bean triggers and hope there's not another force in the hand right now. Oh, baby. Okay. I could, if I force pitching Atraxa here on their force, then Omniscience goes in. I can play Formidable Speaker. All right. This is a little risky, but I kind of want to do this on the Veil of Summer turn, so I'm going to force pitching Atraxa. This draw 4 on this deck, still horrifying. Pitch 2 Lorwyn reveals to their 2 forces. Oh no! What the shit? Oh my god. Well, Fuck me then. Yeah, this is an insane double beanstalk hand. And I can still send a win next turn, but getting to draw 6 and refresh all this is just disgusting. Yay. Yeah, with 0 or 1 beanstalks in play, with 0 beanstalks in play, I easily just win this game next turn. With 1 beanstalk, I have a good chance, but that was so gross. Ugh. Don't like that. Consider in the end step. We're reaching into that graveyard for action. Dumped another Lorwyn revealed. Brainstorm flips Tamiyo immediately. And the misdirection is really scary because that means that they're playing more than 4 forces. I don't know where the limit is. This is probably just blue-green then, though, so I don't have to worry about leyline binding. Just blue-green beanstalk. Yeah, sure looks like it. Bonus Tamiyo. All right, deck. Another Veil of Summer. All right, well, I'm going to send. I win here or I don't. That's it. Are you out of forces? They've only looked at like 10 or 11 cards since last turn. It's fine. Days. I'll pay. I hope that's all you got. Double days for the maximum insult. Life is pain. All right, and then I guess I have to keep playing, even though that's awful. Yeah, Tamiyo could downtick on a force here, which is not only, yep, there it goes, which is not only a hard counter, but a divination. Luckily, I am a combo deck. So if I do somehow wiggle through this, it still works. Okay, now I can force back. I need to draw an Aluren, is what I need to do right now. Aluren or another show and tell. Show and tell actually is worse than Aluren because that uses 2 cards and I won't have something to discard to Formidable Speaker anymore. Oh no, an actual threat. This flips Tamiyo whether you like it or not. Yeah, combat first would have banked a clue there, but they're smoking the whole pack over there. Already at 29 cards remaining in their library. I have 47 left. It's turn 6. They've drawn 31 cards this game. Right, big rips. Aluren and they don't have a follow-up. I can't play that. Murktide can hit me 2 times before I'm dead on the 3rd hit. This Tamiyo will probably just bank another Force Will, though. Going to the moon with Tamiyo here doesn't even make sense. Just make sure you don't lose. Another Beanstalk. All right. Can I deck them? No, not Wasteland. Yuck. Misdirection, huh? Losing to Misdirection in 2026. The opponent just put another force in their 8-card hand, so that we know there's 2 forces over there. Good chance, on average, some of the cards are going to be blue. Because the Murktide got bigger pre-combat, this Pluto Delta actually kills me if I play it. And I won't be able to force a will next turn. Alright, I'm just dead. GG. That was insane. That was a pretty dope showdown, actually. A Veil of Summer I want, Defense Grid I want, Carpet. And with Defense Grid, Force gets even worse. I do like Veil so much more than I like Force, but I think I need to leave some in because of the sheer amount of interaction they have. I'm not going to try to fight over the Beanstalks with stuff like Force of Vigor or Force of Negation. I don't think that's where my fight is. I could shave a 3rd Petal here, or I could lose a Ponder, but I kind of want to be able to shape my hand for one final showdown. Okay, turn 2 Atraxa. Just send it. I'm going to try. And I get to Surveil before I have to commit to anything here. And Misdirection doesn't stop me from show and telling in Atraxa, though it does protect. It does help protect if I find a backup. I'm going to play Delta because I'm fetching Hedge Maze anyway. We got a high YouTube. The game 2 high YouTube. Everyone say hi to Bacon Lettuce Tomato. Hedge Maze, show me Veil of Summer or Defense Grid. Aluren. I mean, there's the backup. We've seen Days in the deck too. That's such a tilt. I hate playing around Days. All right, I'll put Aluren on top. Start banking up round 2. And I'm going to Hedge Maze again this turn, and then play Show and Tell around Days next turn, and then I can play Aluren around Days on the turn after that. End step Brainstorm. Yeah, this keep gets a lot worse when you remember Days is in their deck, which I did forget when I kept the hand, though I would still keep the hand. I would just recognize that it's a turn slower than I want it to be. Okay, no Beanstalk, which means if we have a similar showdown to like we had last game, my opponent will actually be down on cards. Oh my goodness. The ability to protect myself. All right. Send. Show and tell. Force me back. Force you back. Don't fail me, bro. Fetching in response. Brainstorm. Okay. Looking for an answer. I like that. Please don't find one. The forces are cleared. Is the show and tell going to resolve? I pick Atraxa. Do they have a dress down or anything to stop my action? Hooties! Hootie do! Alright. Hooties are not better than Atraxa. Consign to memory does make Atraxa a bit worse, but they do have to clear the 7/7 body. And all it takes is a brazen borrower or something from here. But I am otherwise in the spot I want to be in. Consider, you know, Murktide Regent would be bigger than Atraxa, but I'll take the trade, I guess. B-Storm. Okay, they can't Petty Theft or Murktide anymore. I am a Forest deck. They could have Submerge in the deck. They would need to be worried about, or they, like, Submerge is very likely in this 75. The question is, would they bring it in against Show and Tell? Tamiyo. All right, you've got a blocker. Though I don't think you're going to block. Atraxa, Ataxa. 22. Play my Forest and pass. I don't want just Aluren in play if I'm not doing anything with it, even though I'm fairly confident it would resolve here. All right, there's the Petty Theft. That's what they were looking for. Now I need a Formidable Speaker or Acererak or Show and Tell to put Atraxa back in at least. Cycling, Lorwyn revealed. Mystic Sanctuary gets to put Force of Will back on top. Yep, that is the target. Our Force is on top of the deck. Stock up. Can't complain about that one. Veil Speaker, Aluren. Okay, so this is everything. Formidable Speaker and Veil of Summer in the grip. These ones to the bottom. Island. I know you're drawing Force of Will. You don't know I have this whole other combo. Force, mystery card in hand, and they could crack a clue. They could crack 2 clues, actually. A big rips. I'm learning about science. Aluren. Cracking a clue in response. Cracking the other clue. Now double force is all I have to worry about. It's not going to be... Like, misdirection doesn't stop this. Double daze, I guess, is live. Okay. My Veil worked, and now I will win the game. They could cast Brazen Borrower from exile, but that doesn't stop anything. Yeah, you got me. Formidable Speaker, discard Aluren, tutor Acererak, the Arc Lich, cast it without paying its mana cost. And another good sport. 4 for 4 on opponents willing to scoop to the Acererak. Shout out to every one of them. Okay, the juke paid off there. And that game was actually the same as game 1, except my opponent didn't have 2 beanstalks in play. It was showdown, lose, then win. And whereas it was showdown, lose, opponent still has 8 cards in hand. That's the difference. Kind of a big deal. Yeah, I like the configuration of my deck right now. Play draw doesn't really change the fact that these are the cards I think are good. The only strategic level thing that I'm thinking about is, would I fight over Beanstalk? On the draw, it's a little worse for me. I'm less likely to have a send before there's a bean in play. And if I think fighting over Beanstalk is something worth doing, I would want these forces back in. I don't think I want to fight over Beanstalk, though. I think I want to ignore Beanstalk with Defense Grid and 4 copies of Veil of Summer. Okay, yeah. That is what I thought the first time, but always want to recheck my math before I hit submit. Okay, love this hand. Send into send. I need another green, but I'll find it. I think it is better for me to use Misty Rainforest as a shuffle on Brainstorm than it is for me to get a Surveil land right away. End step, Consider. I love a value Consider. I love the range of the cantrips that are legal on Legacy to the point where you could choose a card like Consider over something like Preordain for reasons of deck building. Are we turbo cranking? Yeah, we are. All right, well, turn 2 Tamiyo. Can I outmuscle it? And there's no force in the graveyard, so the Tamiyo's first turn of existence isn't that challenging to me. Oh my god. Well, that's one of the best cards in my deck. I could play Carpet around Daze, or I could Brainstorm and try to get it in afterwards. Wow, that did really just change the entire context of this game. Okay, I'm gonna go basic Forest, Carpet of Flowers. Carpet actually is that good. Okay, Carpet's in. Second main. Yes, make 2 blue. And I will use a Brainstorm while I got it here. Veil of Summer, stock up. Okay, I don't actually have anything to do here, but stocking up next turn is a pretty big deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I need City of Traders anymore. Carpet does a lot of that work. And I'm actually going to just jam off another Brainstorm here, see one more card. I'm a combo deck that's this close to going off. Just give me another card. Okay, Mysterium Forest, City of Traders go back, and I'll pass. Simic, not really good at destroying a Carpet of Flowers. Up the Beanstalk. Engine's kicking in, Tamiyo pressuring. I do need to cash this out before I'm in big trouble. I think I am going to use the City of Traders here, after all. Yes, make blue, play City of Traders, cast stock up with a blue floating. No, still no real action here. A bonus Veil could help win a fight. I guess it's Brainstorm and Veil. And those to the bottom. I'll cast Brainstorm while I'm here. Just looking for an action. Okay. This is actually kind of nice. I'm going to put back Ponder, and then cast Ponder and probably Shuffle, unless the third card down is action. All right, Shuffle, yes. Omniscience, okay. That still doesn't quite do it somehow, but we're getting closer. That's at least something that could start a chain. They haven't wasted me. There's no reason to waste me in my own end step. They could just untap, see if they're going to use this mana, then waste me anyway. Tamiyo's at 8. I'm on notice. Wasteland, there it goes. My opponent has an interesting tactical option here of just not playing a land, even if they have one, to not give me 1 more mana. I'm going to have 5 mana here. That's enough to show and tell with 2 Veil of Summers. Yes. Make blue. Play Misty. And I'm going to show and tell. And I hope they fight over it, because I kind of need the cantrips off of the Veil of Summers. Consider. Okay, now Veil is a cantrip, even if they don't fight over this. Dump to Murktide Regent. Brainstorm, let's go. Force of Will, in response to the trigger, Veil. Alright, we're in on the Veil. And I'm still not done, but I get to look at least 4 more cards this turn. They put in an island. I'm going to cast... Oh, do I even want to cast Aluren? I don't know if that helps them or not. Okay, I'm going to Brainstorm now. Oh, thank goodness we did it. Alright, put back Polluta Delta and Boseiju. Cast Aluren without paying its mana cost. I'm going to fetch and then ponder and see if I can find another speaker in case I need to go off over top of speaker for some reason. I don't have to spend mana though. Ponder replaces itself. I do have to think about having 1 extra card at the end of the chain. Oh, okay. How about I cast Atraxa? Do we like that one? That's enough cards at the end of the chain. And I can win at instant speed at any point right now. Okay, Consign to Memory. That one would have actually been pretty good against my Formidable speaker. Cast with Omniscience or cast with Aluren? I think Aluren's more fun, so I'm going to cast it with that. Mindbreak Trap would get me. I discard back of Aluren, get Acererak the Arclich, and off we go. Did we do it? What could you have? It's Mindbreak Trap or like Subtlety, I guess, but I could draw a card if they Subtlety. It has to be Mindbreak Trap. Trying to think of any 3-drop creatures they could get me with, and I don't know what they would be. We got the GGs. Those were GGs. Racing Tamiyo to the top. You love to see it. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the draw in the final round. I like my hand. I have the combo and some ways to see cards to protect the combo. Okay, now I can turn 2 this shit if I want to. I could cast stock up right now. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to pass. Meticulous Archive. Not the beans! Okay, beans are back. And white beanstalk deck, much scarier than non-white beanstalk deck because of Leyline binding. I'll put that on top. Start ramming stock ups. I'm not playing around days. Daze me, bro. Force of Will. Okay. And I'll pass the turn. That force pitch to Lorwyn. I'm hoping that these aggressive uses of forces early bite them on actual go time turn. Uh-oh. The double beanstalk. Not this again. My nemesis. All right. Well, stock up. That one worked. Okay. Show and tell plus Atraxa. That doesn't matter. Atraxa doesn't matter. I'm going to go show and tell and stock up. And this gives me ways to continue loading up. And that stock up just resolved. Should I go for it here? Like, I could just cast show and tell. They were willing to fight over it last turn, and the Formidable Speaker stuff actually does beat Leyline binding. Show and tell. Put in Aluren. Thalia. Oh no. Formidable Speaker. I will discard stock up, I guess. I mean, shit. Swords to Plowshares actually gets me here. Alright. Okay. Good. They didn't have the plow. Nice. The old Force of Will stock up die on the very next turn line. I love to see it. My opponent probably doesn't. And here I am reaching for these same cards that I've reached for every round because they are the good ones. Yeah, I had that one combo matchup that wanted me to have some of this stuff going on, but I didn't play against Eldrazi or Doomsday or anything that would really invite me to bring in all these ones. We've been in the same wheelhouse, all of the opponents this league, in the blue interactive wheelhouse, that is, even though their decks have been pretty different from each other. Island Ponder, I'll believe in it. Island Ponder delivering a stock up gets this whole game going. Veil of Summer, my greatest weapon. Ponder found stock up, science, and speaker. Yep, I want every single one of these cards. Don't shuffle, pass. Ponder. I think my play is just Forest Go. Do I actually care about Omniscience? Yeah, I think I do. I'm going to Forest Go with the plan of stocking up with Veil protection next turn. Caracas, that card is good against Atraxa. It is not very good against Acererak. Alright, I think it's time to send a stock up here because Thalia can drop here and start applying pressure. Veil. Spell Pierce is nice. Dirty little trick. Alright, force pitching Murktide. Okay, we got 2 pieces of interaction out of the hand. I am kind of out of stuff to do, though. Didn't Thalia in the end step. I like that. Something to do? Not something to do. Okay. I could play Speaker just as a 2/4. Flip City of Traders into Acererak, and then I'm like on board with something. I don't even think that's bad. Alright. Formidable Speaker. Discard City. I could even chain speakers together. Alright, I'll get Acererak. Just put them on notice. And this 2/4, I mean, if their hand is just all Force of Wills, I can attack them 9 times. Formidable Speaker is also worth mana in an Ancient Tomb deck, because you can untap Ancient Tomb to net 1. Edge Maze, looking for action. Force of Will. I'm going to want that eventually. And I'll just attack you for 2. What do you think? This is a spot where having a single black source in the deck to maybe cast Acererak on the slow fare would be something to consider. I mean, I don't think that's actually that good or would come up that often, but, you know, I have to say the words. I'm making content here. Aluren. Well, that's a win condition, if I ever saw one. Attack with my Formidable Speaker. He speaks formidably. And then, do I win? 4 cards in your hand. I could pay for Spell Pierce. I could force back. Okay. Well, I'm going to pass to my opponent's turn. If they fetch, I'll try to go off in response. Alright. Acererak in response to this fetch land. Caracas doesn't matter. Swords to Plowshares does. Dress Down does a little. And if they dress down, I just have Acererak as 5/5 mode. Leyline Binding in response. Force pitching Omniscience. I think I'd rather have Atraxa in my hand between these 2 cards. Okay. Oh, if I had gone off... Oh, they forced some negation, pitching force well. They actually just had it all. Okay, so I lose a Lorwyn here. And now I actually have to look up what the dungeons do and decide which room I want to be in. Turns out the Lost Mine of Phandelver is still where I want to be. Just scrying 1 is a perfectly fine use of an entrance. The Mad Mage gain a life. Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, I'll just scry 1. This is the dungeon I want to be in anyway. Force of Will to the bottom. I'm done having fights. I'm looking for the Boseiju in my deck at this point, or another way to send it. Opponent's down to 1 card in hand. They've got a Surveil. I am attacking for 2. Carpet of Flowers still doesn't cast Atraxa, even though I would have enough raw mana. You can't get the colors with the 2-color mana base. Honestly, Lost Mine, slow grinding with a single Underground Sea. Or if I draw the Carpet, I'll start doing it. But making a 1/1 red goblin here is actually sick. Yeah, Carpet of Flowers for the backdoor is what I'm after now. I ended up keeping the card. Ancient Tomb, not great. Speaker, attack. I'm not going to play this Tomb because that's discard fodder if I draw another Speaker. If I draw a second Speaker, I will just chain 3 of them together. Speaker, discard Tomb, get a Speaker. Attack. Opponent is at 9 life over there. Play out my island. Also, the more mana I have, the more Acereraks I can play when I draw my Carpet of Flowers. Meddling Mage. Alright. This naming Acererak is pretty strong. Or do you think that's covered and now you're going to name Show and Tell or Lorwyn? We'll see. Bummer. Alright. Well, Carpet of Flowers stinks now. Alright, Formidable Speaker. I'll attack with this one. And then Speaker. Discard Ancient Tomb to get another Speaker. The long-term line set up here. Just checking my deck. So I have Boseiju. That doesn't matter if I can't cast Acererak. Yeah, I have no actual answer. So I'll take Formidable Speaker number 2. Cast that. Discard Acererak. Get the last one. All right. Grab the last Formidable Speaker. And now we're on Speaker Beats. Leyline Binding. Forced to be used on Formidable Speaker. That's pretty nice. Another Aluren. Okay. Well, I guess discarding Acererak is now a big punish because I could have won this game when they have to jump with the Meddling Mage. Okay, I don't... Is Aluren better off? Yeah, I have no way to use this anymore. I'll just turn it into an Atraxa. It just thins an Atraxa out of the deck. But my opponent does have to deal with 2 Formidable Speakers or else be dead to combat here. Brainstorm. Digging it up. And a card like Solitude buys a lot of time but doesn't actually beat this. I'd be surprised if they have a Wrath in their deck. Something like Murktide or Quantum Riddler actually does it. Actually, is that even true? I could just mush through it, lose 1, they go to... Or no, yeah, they need more than that because they fetched this turn. Beanstalk. All right, opponent is scrambling. This Beanstalk's going to draw a card that Brainstorm just put back, so they already know if this card's any good or not. Ponder. Formidable Speaker beatdown. Let's go. Oh, yeah. That was nice. Okay, 4-1 with this deck, losing only to Reanimator, who beat my Show and Tell with a better Show and Tell monster in Game 3. Like, that's a pretty good showing. We won games with Atraxa, Aluren, Acererak, and Formidable Speaker beatdown. We did it all. This deck is really smooth, really pretty. I hate when I like a Show and Tell deck because I know it's going to break my heart. Me and this card don't get along. But me and this card do get along. So maybe this was the friend who convinced me that this other guy is actually pretty cool. Maybe this is what's going on here. Aluren and I are just like at a diner, and Aluren's like, come on, man, Show and Tell's not that bad. I'm like, I don't know, he's kind of a dick. It's like, yeah, but once you get to know him, he's actually all right. And, you know, maybe that's the conversation that's happening right now. And Show and Tell, maybe I'll give you a chance. This deck was really cool. Just beautiful engineering of your pieces layering on top of each other and everything being just really good and serving ultimately a purpose that is extremely powerful and can happen very quickly. Big fan of this deck. Claire, thank you for supporting the channel with the ability to play this deck. everybody go over to the Tolarian Community College fundraiser, spend your money, win some cool prizes, be part of this big thing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.